Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contract, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram and Ask Adam Torres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Dylan Smith on the line, and he's co-founder over at Evolve United. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Adam, thanks so much, man. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
All right, so I'm excited to get into what you're doing over at Evolve United, but before we get into that, let's go a little bit further into your background. So how'd you get started in your career and as an entrepreneur?
Great question. So to take it back a little further, my entire childhood working up into college, I was completely obsessed with basketball. The college I went to was so that I could play basketball. I had no thought past that. I just completely immersed myself into basketball. And about my junior or senior year of college, I realized that I was just not going to make it pro. You know, there was no future there for me. So I started looking at other options. And I've always been a very spontaneous and just a person that just takes chances. And after I graduated college, me and my best friend, 2 months after I graduated, moved 26 hours across the country from North Carolina to Denver, Colorado. And started Evolve United, which is a wellness business that works directly with apartment complexes.
Man, that's awesome. And so, you know, there's some business owners listening, or I should say would-be business owners or entrepreneurs that are just getting started, and maybe they're a couple years behind you. So maybe they're still in college, they're graduating college, and they're thinking about starting their on their first entrepreneurial journey. You know, I tell everybody, like, every year of being an entrepreneur is like its own education in itself. So now you're a couple years in. What kind of advice would you give to that Dylan that was just getting started up? If you could go back and have that conversation with the benefit of hindsight now, of course.
Absolutely. And I think these podcasts are a great tool for what I'm going to talk about. And that's when you get started, no one knows what they're doing when they first start a business venture. So there's going to be a lot of anxiety in that feeling, and realizing that your head's a little out of water. And that is completely normal. The more podcasts I listen to, the more business owners I research, the more normalized that is. So my advice would be go for it, and you are not alone in feeling overwhelmed. It is a part of the process, and like you said, every year you learn so much more than you did the year prior.
That's awesome, and I think that's a great transition, Dylan. So let's go into Evolve United and your venture. So first off, tell us a little bit more about the company.
Yeah, so we started a year and a half ago out of Denver, Colorado. And we work directly with apartment complexes, and we provide them on-site wellness programs. So our partners receive on-site fitness classes for their residents, personal trainers that the residents can book, and massage therapists that residents can, order massage to their room. So apartments get the benefit of, the increased marketability of the complex. Residents in Denver and all over the U.S. love fitness and wellness. So saying that, if you live here, you can have a free yoga class every Tuesday, you can have a free HIIT class every Thursday. It has a ton of marketing appeal. But more importantly, and it's the mission of our company, is to connect individuals and create communities. So, we want residents to meet other residents in those fitness classes, form a bond, and, hopefully re-sign that lease, in part due to the friendships that were created during our classes.
Man, that makes so much sense, and I think it's a great model, and it's a great win-win for everyone. The tenants, the operators, obviously yourself, your company, the trainers. I mean, you're really helping an entire ecosystem here, and it's all geared towards wellness, which is obviously always going to be a good thing. So I'm a big fan of the work you're doing. So what kind of just to give the audience a bit of a feel. So what kind of responses have you heard from the operators or multifamily operators that you're working with so far? Because I'm just curious to hear the results. You're a couple of years in now.
Yes, fantastic question, first off. And I kind of have two answers there. So when we first started, all we had were fitness classes. We didn't have any of the personal training or in-home massage, and we really didn't know how to market those classes. So we'd start with properties and post flyers and try to get an email or two out to residents. And the results were okay. They weren't great. Community managers still loved the idea, but it was clear that we weren't providing the value that we wanted to. So in talking to property managers, and honestly, the more communities I talk to, I hear competitors doing, this or that, and I'm figuring out a way to improve our program. And now, we have an automated marketing system. Everything can be booked through a resident booking app, and the in-home massage and personal training are really a luxurious and convenient thing to offer your residents. So before we had, that entire system, they were happy, but they wanted more. And now when I give a pitch, it's very common that, they love it. I've had multiple property managers tell me as soon as the pitch was over, you guys are going to be huge. So, and that's a great thing to hear from a client, or, the contract was not signed yet. So really it was a prospect that was saying, we love this idea. We think you guys are going to be a huge company in this industry. And that's when we were like, okay, we're definitely on the right path here.
Man, that is so exciting, and I love it. So that being said, what are the let's go into kind of some of the nuts and bolts. I think you've mentioned you're working in Colorado. I mean, tell us about some of the markets, because there's some people right now that are listening and they're excited. They're like, hey, how do I get involved? What's this all about? This sounds good. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that is one of the advantages of our business model. Over the last year and a half, 2 years, we've really honed it down to we can launch in any city within a month. We just hire the instructors and get the entire program going from Denver. So we're operating in Denver right now. But actually, in the next 2 weeks, we are making an announcement that we are expanding to Houston, Texas, and Austin, Texas. That was going to happen earlier, but obviously with coronavirus, our plans got halted. But we're hoping to offer some of those same programs down there, and just really emphasize the safety to those residents, because I know Texas is in disarray with coronavirus. So it's actually a great opportunity for us to provide that safe haven of a workout for residents that are looking for that.
That's awesome. So Dylan, that being said, so if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more and to connect with you and your team over at Evolve United, two-part question, final question. So number one, what are the right types of organizations that are usually a good fit to work with Evolve United, number one? And number two, what's the best way for them to connect and to follow up?
Absolutely. So our best customers that we have are customers that are very interested in creating that community aspect at their complex. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier. We have worked with corporate spaces before. So if that's something that, a corporate office is interested in doing, we offer that as well. So really the simple answer to that question, any community that is interested in giving back to their residents or giving back to their employees and understands the value of investing in their employees and residents, that's what we want to work with. That is our ideal client. And to answer the second part of your question, anyone that wants to learn more about us can follow us on Instagram at Evolve United. That's just EVOLVE United. Or our website is evolveunited.co. And those are the easiest pathways that you can kind of find out more about what we are doing.
Fantastic. Well, Dylan, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work that you're doing over at Evolve United. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Dylan, thanks again for coming on the show.
Oh, Adam, thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.